Hello and welcome to the Family Brand Podcast. My name is Chris. I'm a husband, a father, and an entrepreneur.
My name's Melissa, and I am a wife, mother, former nurse turned real estate investor.
And we believe the greatest gift you can give your child is a last name that stands for something.
Your last name is your family's brand.
If you are a parent who wants to raise your child to know who they are, love who they are, and believe in who they are, this show is for you.
We promise to bring you real and authentic conversations with parents and experts who are committed to making their family their life's most important work.
This show will help you take a stand for your family and to raise your children by design, not default. Okay, welcome back to the Family Brand Podcast. Happy summer, if we haven't already said that on a podcast episode, but summer is in full swing, at least for us here in Arizona.
I think for everyone now, and it's been such a long time since you and I recorded a podcast episode together. We banked a bunch before we went to Europe, and then we were in Europe for a little bit, and I've had a lot of guest episodes, so it's fun to connect with you on this podcast and talk about our summer, even though we're like, I don't know, five or more weeks into summer. But we thought it would be, this episode would be a great episode to just talk about how we've been bringing some attention to our family this summer, what that's kind of looked like, and things we've been navigating. And, you know, of course, with the summer and changing schedules, it's like not everything is going super smoothly all the time, as I'm sure it is for you and your family listening. So we thought we'd talk through some of that and how we're navigating all of it.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of a balancing act a little bit with summer, because for me, at least, I personally want to experience kind of the magic of summer and everything that summer entails, or you think it entails, which is like a lot of just fun and freedom. And for us, like the sun and the pool and not these rigid schedules. And to a point, because like too much of that in our family we found gets chaotic, and you're coming home from the gym and your kids are already like watching TV and have been for 2 hours and they're zombies. And so it's like, we struggle with it as much as anyone. And we're just going to share with you some things that have worked, some things that haven't worked, to kind of strike that balance of, let's still have some really clear agreements in the summer. Let's set ourselves up for success with a schedule and with a structure, while also allowing a lot of, just free time and fun.
Awesome. So I think one of the first things we did this summer after we got back from Europe, which, by the way, Europe was amazing. We loved kicking off our summer. We went to France, spent some time in Paris and Normandy, the beaches of Normandy where a lot of World War II was fought. That was super cool. Spent some time in England and London, and just, I don't know, I'm just really grateful for those experiences and opportunities that they provided us and our kids. Like Tate, when we were in London, he was like, someone was handing out copies of the Quran, and I'm like, it's so cool that Tate is getting to have these conversations with people and the experiences, seeing like where World War II was fought, and really internalizing all of these life lessons that would be really hard to do had we just stayed home. So I love travel for our family for that reason, and many more, which maybe we could do a whole episode about that. But
well, maybe, and we could even start there, is it's actually tempting for us, interestingly enough, every summer to not go anywhere, because although summer it's fun and it's free, and at the same time, if you have kids like we do who want to play summer sports, it's a little bit of this pool, right? Because we now have a son who's in high school playing high school basketball. They do basketball in the summer. Our kids love summer baseball, summer softball, summer camps.
And they're getting older. They want jobs. They want to be making money. And this is like the prime time to do that.
Yeah. So I think if we're not careful, Melissa and I could just do what we want, which if it was up to us, we would just travel all summer and just go on adventures and never really be home. And at the same time, that doesn't really work for our kids. And last summer, we got feedback from them that, hey, we traveled more than we wanted. We would have wanted to be home more. And there's the temptation, though, to go completely the other way and like, we don't go anywhere as a family. So I think that's actually an interesting thing. First of all, is just to get input from your family. Like, what do we want to create this summer? And know that it is a creation and it is possible. And it might be some give and take. Like, okay, we're going to be able to go in this window on a trip, but we're going to have you back as much as we can for this tournament, but you might miss a couple games. And so, and that's what's happened this summer with our family. There's been a bit of give and take by everyone, and it hasn't been perfect, but we are trying to navigate that. So maybe that is something that's been useful for us. And I think we've tried to do that every summer, some more effective than others, but just having a vision for what do we want the summer to look like for our family? And at the end of the summer, what would we want to have had happen that would have us be like, yeah, that was a really fun, kind of magical summer?
I was on a coaching call with a woman a few weeks ago, and she was talking about just their summer, and she didn't know if it's actually a really busy time for their business during the summer, and she didn't know if they'd be able to take, a trip, although they wanted to. And it was interesting to, just kind of explore with her just kind of what was going through her mind and how to prioritize a trip and how to pull it off. And I guess I would say that is, even if your summer is really busy and really full, I would 100% recommend, like, even if it's just for a couple days, and even if you don't go far, like, take this intentional time away from work, jobs, if it's your teenagers,
School.
like, just whatever it is, and have a family trip this summer. Maybe it's camping, and maybe you already have the gear, and it's like, it doesn't have to be a huge financial investment or a huge time investment, but I think it is really important to have those things that our kids that we can look back on this summer, and to have these memories and these traditions that they go back to again and again, in their mind, is like that were part of their childhood and growing up.
Yeah, and one thing that Melissa does every summer that's been really cool, or at least has for several summers now, is she just gets out a big sheet of paper and she writes summer on it. I can't remember what it says this year.
Yeah, I think it says summer of 2024.
And then she got smaller cards with our names on them, and all of us filled out what's important to us this summer, what do we want to accomplish this summer, and then what's something we want to get good at this summer, which is just kind of something fun we've done for, I think, several years now, where we just pick something and it can be totally random. But I think it helps each of us bring some more intention to the summer. And when our kids are like, we had quite a few kids this summer that were actually like, I want to make money. Making money is important to me this summer. Having a job is important to me this summer. So that's actually been really fun to talk with them and get creative and think of ways that they could make money, as like having their own little businesses. And it's had our kids do some really fun things that I think are really useful skills they're learning. They've done some entrepreneurial things. They've sold pecans. They've sold T-shirts. They've sold hats. Some days they've sat out there in the hot sun and like made $10 in 2 hours, and it was miserable for them, which I love that lesson for them. Some days they've sat out there for 10 minutes and made $100, which is, cool. And then it had our two older sons and even our daughter get out of that side of their comfort zone and go ask for jobs and have to network. And that was kind of confronting for them. And so that's just one small thing, but it's been really cool to see that I think all 5 of our kids, to some degree or another, making money was important. So I was like, okay, well, how can we support you in that? And then also how can we challenge you in this? And they've all done it in different ways.
And I think for some of them, our older boys that are 15 and 16, they wanted to like make money. But for some of our younger ones, it was like more, well, I want to go to, our 12-year-old boy wants to go to a concert. And so she's like, I want to make money to go to a concert, or I want to go to a concert. And so backing into it, it's like, well, how are we going to earn money to go to this concert? So I don't think she's necessarily as motivated by money, but for her, it was like, I want to do things, but I have to have money to do those things, which led to her job. But it has been useful. So I have that board that says summer 2024, and then on the card that each person wrote on, it's a little bit bigger than 3x5, but they're just like kind of plastered on it. It's like so basic and not Pinterest worthy at all, but it works. And it's been so useful though, because, if I find one of my kids like spending their time, how I want to say this delicately, basically some of our children love YouTube. And so if I find them like on YouTube for longer than I think is needful, I'll be like, hey.
Which never happens as the ambassadors of family brand, we never have any challenges with. I'm just kidding.
But it's been so useful because we get to go back. I've even walked them in front of that sign and been like, okay, here's the sign or the card that you filled out at the beginning of the year. And it's like, tell me, let's walk through what's important to you this summer. And we get to revisit it all. And then I ask them like, okay, do you think that what you're doing right now is making any progress on any of these things that you've said you wanted to do or that were important to you this summer? And they're like, no.
And do you feel like it's useful because not just that they see that, but also from a parenting perspective, without that, you're kind of just getting after them. You're just kind of like, get off YouTube, but you're not offering any.
Yeah,
this feels like you're offering a solution as well.
Yeah. And it's like, I, as your mother, am not like trying to nag you. I'm like trying to actually get behind you.
Trying to help you create or accomplish what you said is important to you.
Yes.
I got to use that board more.
No, you really should. The few times that I've like circled back to it with the kids, it was like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, this is important to me. I do want to do this.
Well, even for
So
myself, if I ever find like I have some time or to go to that, I'm like, oh yeah, these are the things that I said were important to me this summer.
yeah. And for me, okay, you talk about do you remember what you put on yours? And I'll talk about what I put on mine. So a couple of things that I put on mine are, so when I was in Europe, I went with my sisters for a week first, and we went to a Taylor Swift concert, and it was so fun. Chris did amazing, holding down the fort while I was gone. I had never
She
taken
actually
a,
doesn't know if I did amazing or not. She doesn't know what happened, but
I mean,
we survived.
the kids have nothing but great things to say about their time spent with their father. And so but long story short, we rode bikes into Germany from France with my sisters. And when we were in Germany, there was this little park, and it just had like a bunch of pull-up bars and stuff, basically. Just a basic park. And my one sister, Emily, she just like jumped up on this bar and she did 10 pull-ups, just busted out 10 pull-ups. And I was just like, oh my gosh, she is so cool how she just did that. And even so, she did that. She did her 10 pull-ups. And then I jumped up on the bar and I was like, I wonder if I could even do one, which I really couldn't. So I got like halfway up and I was like, help, help. And then my three sisters like helped lift my legs up. So I
That's awesome.
actually did one pull-up. But coming home, so on my board, I wrote like, I'd love to be able to do some pull-ups. I think that would be really fun. And I think that that is like a fun goal. And it is motivating to me to like get into the gym, because I'm like, no, I got to work on my pull-ups, because I'm trying to do some pull-ups. So that's
And I would
something fun.
say it seems like you've been more committed to the gym, specifically that like exercise.
Yeah, totally. I found a little program just online, just screenshotted this program that I found on in a magazine, and it just kind of breaks down different how to work up to doing pull-ups, and whether it's a good program or not, I don't know, but it gives me things to do every day, and gives me a program, and so I've been following that, which has been really fun.
It's awesome. Yeah, randomly on mine I put so we started this tradition a few months ago called Charcuterie Sundays. Just 'cause we love charcuterie boards, and it was like this is just a fun way to gather around. And we do Sunday family check-ins. So we do a family check-in every Sunday. And shocker, our kids aren't stoked every Sunday for a family check-in. Sometimes they're like, oh my gosh, we're doing this again. And so we thought, well, they'd be stoked to get around a charcuterie board. And then if we just did the check-in, they would not even know. And it's like, it's worked really well.
Yes.
And I've always known that I love cheese, but one of the things that occurred to me is Melissa buys all these awesome cheeses, but we just prepare the charcuterie board. So I don't know what cheese I'm eating. And I was like, and every time we go to Europe, I just love cheese. And I was like, I want to become a cheese connoisseur this summer. I want to know more about cheeses. And like, I want to know what kind of cheeses I really like and which ones I don't like and where they're from and how they're made. And so it sounds, yeah, random and weird, but
amazing.
like, that's what I want to get better at this summer. That's what's important to me. One of the things that's interesting to me is like learning more about cheeses.
I'm sure there's a name like for that, like an actual person that is a cheese professional.
Cheesehead.
But we had just come home from Europe, and France is like known for how many cheeses they have. And so I think that probably heavily influenced that. Okay, but we did discover that, thank you to Meg Martin. She introduced, I think I'd had it before, but she like really pointed out that she loves manchego cheese. And so I got that for the charcuterie board last week, and
So good.
you like that one. So now we can definitively say we like manchego cheese.
And so far, I think my favorite cheese is sharp cheddar.
All the things that we're learning this summer. It's just amazing. Okay, and the last thing I'll say about summer is it's been really useful for us to still maintain a schedule. I know Chris said earlier, talking about not everything wanting to be too strict. Like you want to have freedom, but you don't want to like everything to just be so loose. And so where we've landed is we will eat breakfast at approximately the same time every morning, like between 8 and 8:30. We'll still have like a morning devotional. The jobs for the kids, meaning like housework jobs, will start at 9. And then, there's more freedom and flexibility after that. If people are going to like the neighbors one of our sons is shoveling manure for his job. So then after that, it's when their schedule kind of opens up and they can do that. Then our afternoons have been more free to go to the pool and stuff. But I think really starting our days with intention really sets the stage for like the whole the whole rest of the day to follow.
Yeah, I would say that one of the things that we've observed in our family over the years is if you can have both of these, it's great. But even if you can just have one, which is if we can start our day together as a family with some intention, or end our day together as a family with some intention, our family just runs better. If you can do both, that's great. And look, I know that there's seasons of life where it's hard to even do one of those for us, but it's like something to strive for. So even in the summer, I think we're probably not as intentional right now about ending our days intentionally as a family. I mean, we still try to eat as many dinners as we can, but we do have people running all over the place in games. But I think just by having that one little like morning routine as much as we can, it just kind of seems like it sets our day up really well. And maybe for you, it's like, it's the opposite with summer. It's like we could end our evenings with some intention and that sets us up for the next day. But I think some routine, some structure, some clear agreements, and even baked into the structure can be, hey, for this huge block of a window, free time. But there's still a structure to it. There's still some agreements. That just seems to really work for us. So I guess recap, would you say like kind of what, create a vision for what you want for the summer as a family, just kind of to come in its entirety.
Mm-hmm.
Each individual, maybe it'd be helpful to have a discussion around what's important to them and then create as much, still have some type of structure, routine, or agreements around time or a meal or something.
Can you share one last thing is I thought this was brilliant, and so that's why I want you to share and hilarious. Our one of our sons, he was not really bringing himself to like find a job, and we felt like, hey, we want you to, he's getting old enough, we're like, hey, we want you to spend, we don't want you to have all day, all summer where it's just like free time. We want you to have a job and have to like bring yourself to this a little bit. And so you proposed an idea to him to find employment. Do you remember what you told him to do?
Was
About calling people?
No.
I thought it was brilliant. Chris, there came like, I don't know, maybe like a week into actually being at home at summer. He hadn't been like really reaching out to people. He was still like not making it happen. And Chris is like, okay, I'm going to give you by, I don't know if I remember, it was like by the end of the day today or by the end of the day tomorrow.
Mm.
I want you to reach out to 10 people and ask them about, not like, do you have work for me, but like, hey, I'm 15. I'm looking for a job. Do you know anyone that's like looking to hire or has some job? And I think he got maybe to what, call 6.
Yeah.
And he found a job. He found someone that was like, yeah, I would love for you to come and help me in my yard.
Yeah. And I don't know if this is powerful, but I'll tell you the full structure of it. There was a basketball tournament coming up that weekend that he really wanted to go to because he loves basketball and he's on the high school basketball team. And so I said, Tanner, I'll create an agreement with you that if, and maybe this isn't a good agreement, maybe this is like force, but also he had said like it was important to him to find a job, but it wasn't like doing the activity to do it. So I just said, hey, if you reach out to 10 people by the end of the day, you don't have to have a job, but if you can show me on your phone through text messages and calls, you've approached 10 people, then you can go to your basketball tournament this weekend. And if you can't, then you won't go to the basketball tournament. And that, I think, gave him some motivation. And I helped him with like what to say, and we came with a little script. But yeah, by like the 6th one, he found a job and he's really happy with that job and he's liking it. And it's so good for him. And he feels really accomplished. He was telling me this morning, actually on the way home from the gym, he's like, man, he's been coming to the gym with me every morning. He's like, I get home from the gym and I'm really tired. Then I go to work and I'm even more tired, but it feels good like to work hard. And I can tell it's like helping me get stronger, which is important to me. And so I think, and his first check came in the mail yesterday and he was all stoked for that.
So happy.
Yeah.
Now you can actually visibly see, I feel like, his confidence and just belief in himself growing, like as he continues to see himself putting in the work both at the gym and, and going to work, shoveling manure and, everything he's doing. He's doing so good. And it's been so rewarding for him to be able to see like what his hard work has created. I love that for him and for our kids this summer.
Okay. We hope you have the summer of your dreams, 2024.
Thank you so much for listening to the Family Brand Podcast. To say thank you, we have something really awesome we'd love to share with you.
We often hear from families who will tell us that they just feel so overwhelmed because of the demands that are placed on them. They feel like they're constantly being pulled in so many different directions and spread thin, and they're spending time as a family, but they don't feel like it's quality time. They're not really connected and they want to be more intentional. And we can certainly relate because we felt like that at one point in our family. And so we created a guide that allowed us to really be more confident around how we spend time as a family. and what we say yes to and what we say no to. And it's just brought so much more peace into our home. It's made our lives so much more simple, and we want to share it with you. So if you go to familybrand.com/free, you can download the How to Take Back Your Family's Time guide. And I can promise you it'll give you more confidence and more peace in your life and in your family.
One last thing, we feel so inspired when we hear from families that we are making a difference for them. We would love it if you would leave us a 5-star rating and a review on the podcast so we can reach even more amazing families. We truly believe that the way we change the world is one family at a time.